Hello there and welcome to the second Brexit video of the day. The labour shortage in Britain is coming to a head now. Think tanks estimate that there are hundreds of thousands missing, and the consequences of Brexit are becoming obvious here too. The consequences of Brexit are clearly noticeable on the British labour market now. Think tanks estimate that the British economy is lacking in six figures in workers, and since leaving the EU, the UK had a point system that makes it difficult for people without specific qualifications to obtain a work permit. Some once vehement advocates of exiting the EU now want to make adjustments, and the self-interested realization in business is growing that the whole thing backfired. Experts believe that there's a lack of employees, especially in lower skilled jobs. On the island too, workers from abroad, often from other EU countries at the time, had taken on mostly poorly paid, unskilled work for a long time. And one could say experienced special exploitation. But a lot has changed with Brexit. The new point system makes it more difficult for people without specific qualifications to immigrate to Great Britain. And the result is, Great Britain under Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and his Tories are in another crisis here. To what extent, researchers believe they have now analyzed. As The Guardian reports, the think tank Centre for European Reform, or CER, and UK in a Changing Europe have come to the conclusion that there's a total shortage of 330,000 workers. Since the UK left the EU, the number of immigrants from non-EU countries has increased, but apparently not at a rate that would offset the decline in immigration from neighboring countries from the continent. The Office for National Statistics speaks of a decline in net immigration of 540,000 people as of June 2022, according to The Guardian. Looking at healthcare, for example, the report states, in higher skilled sectors such as healthcare, education and ICT, the increase in non-EU labour force has more than offset the loss of EU labour force. According to other assessments, Brexit has contributed to a clearly noticeable shortage of doctors in England. Either way, the healthcare system is a problem child, and fair wages in the UK are at a sticking point. This is shown by the current waves of strikes in the country, with nurses going on strike again these days. Downing Street is not giving in to the dispute over fair wages in the healthcare sector, even if it has shown itself temporarily willing to talk. The reserve army to depress wages is shrinking in Britain. Only a few months ago, the chairman of the board of the fashion group Next, Lord Simon Wolfson, made a surprising demand. The actually vehement Brexit advocate called on the government to revise immigration rules in order to bring back EU workers. In the wake of Brexit, the discourse on immigration in Great Britain was repeatedly led by Conservatives with racist resentment. Now, in its own best interest, business is realizing that England is an immigration country, whether it likes it or not. The withdrawal of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, usually I say UK for this, from the EU is widely referred to. The word is composed of Britain and exit, so that's why it's called Brexit. Since February 1st in 2020, the United Kingdom is no longer part of the EU, and in 2016 the British voted in a referendum with a narrow majority for their country to leave the EU. After much argument over how such an exit might go, the UK withdrew from the EU on January 31st in 2020. It is the first time that a member country has left the EU. At the end of 2020, the UK and EU signed a contract that laid down how future relations between the EU and the UK would be structured. Among other things, the treaty contains important regulations for business and trade. One of the rules states that EU residents can no longer easily work in the UK. They now need a work permit for this, and that's why we're talking about that in the shortages. Before Brexit, the United Kingdom had 73 MEPs in the European Parliament, and 30 of those seats were distributed to other countries. France and Spain were able to send 5 new MEPs to the EU Parliament, Italy and the Netherlands each 3, Ireland 2, and other countries 1 MEP. The remaining 43 seats were not filled for the time being, and Germany already had the maximum numbers, so they did not get any from the exit of the UK. But Brexit is a gift that keeps on giving. I have said that often, and when I talk to some friends that are still interested in the topic, because Brexit is a topic that not really someone here in Germany still cares about. They are talking about other topics, but not Brexit. I'm talking about this, and I'm dealing with Brexit because of this channel. But the most people here in Germany don't care anymore, and of course, it harmed Germany as well in case of trade, but not by far in an extent like it did and will hurt the UK. But it is a topic that will stay with us for quite a long time, not in the minds of my fellow countrymen and women here, but especially in the minds of the, let's say, normal people in the UK, because they will feel it in the pocket much harder in crises than anybody else here on the European continent. And as long as there is a government that is talking about Brexit benefits, we have a lot to expect there, and a lot of downsides yet to come we still haven't seen, because they are obviously trying to make some decisions now that will make everything even worse. And I have to mention one more point about this government, because one thing I talk positively about the government. I recently had to talk a lot about tank deliveries to Ukraine and the Ukraine war and the pressure they put on Germany. Today, when you're seeing this video, the defense ministers of the Western countries that are sending aid to Ukraine are meeting in Germany in Ramstein on a US airbase and are discussing the whole thing. But we had to talk about Challengers and Leopards and everything here as well on this channel. And that's why I just want to mention there is a channel called Outside Views Military. There I'm talking about military vehicles, jets and everything in the long run. But there are videos already about a lot of vehicles like the Leopard, like the Marder, like the Panzerhaubitze that was sent to Ukraine already, or the Gepard or Iris-T. And if you are interested in any of these and want some more detailed information on those vehicles instead of the politics, although I mentioned the politics there as well, if it is in direct relation to a certain vehicle at a time, or I'm bringing a certain vehicle at a certain point of time because of a current political decision. But the focus is on the vehicles and equipment. So if you're interested in this, the link to Outside Views Military is in the description of this video. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.